All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. We love to just dig into these fascinating topics.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about learning from mistakes.
Ooh.
I mean, we've all been there, right?
Yes, we are human.
We all make them,
Oh,
but some of us are better at it than others.
right.
So how do we become those people who really, extract the wisdom
Exactly.
from our screw-ups?
Yeah.
And to help us with that, we've got this great book by Matthew Syed, Black Box Thinking, which is
It's so good.
such a good read.
It's not just some theoretical textbook. It's
Yeah.
full of stories and examples that are really compelling and really interesting and really kind of make you rethink
Yeah.
how you approach failure.
I love this concept of black box thinking that he talks about. And it really gets you thinking, what if we approached our personal lives the same way that the aviation industry approaches plane crashes?
It's a powerful analogy.
Right.
Because you think about it, airplanes have those literal black boxes that record everything that happens during a flight.
Yeah.
So if there is a crash,
Yeah.
investigators can go in and meticulously analyze the data,
Right.
figure out exactly what went wrong, and how to prevent it from happening again.
And as a result, flying is one of the safest ways to travel.
Yes, statistical.
It's a direct result
incredible.
of this willingness to dissect every mistake.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what if we did that in other areas of our lives?
I know, right?
Like healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about this really sad story about a woman named Elaine Bromley who died during a routine surgery
Oh, yeah.
because of a preventable medical error,
Mm-hmm.
but there was no investigation afterwards.
Right.
No systematic effort to learn from what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes you think, what if hospitals had black boxes?
Right.
How many lives could be saved?
Yeah, and it's not just an isolated incident either. Syed cites a study that estimates that over 400,000 premature deaths every year in the U.S. alone are due to preventable medical harm.
That's
That's like 2 jumbo jets crashing every single day.
it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So it makes you think about, what systems in your life could benefit from a little more black box thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Is it your career, your relationships,
Totally.
your personal growth journey?
Yeah.
Are you really digging deep when things go wrong, or are you kind of sweeping those mistakes under the rug?
Right. It's so easy to do that.
It is.
Especially when you factor in this thing called cognitive dissonance.
Ooh.
It's this psychological phenomenon where we hold on to our beliefs
Yeah.
even when they're contradicted by evidence.
Oh, my gosh. He tells this crazy story in the book about this cult leader, Dorothy Martin.
Oh, yeah.
She predicted the world was going to end on a specific date,
Mm-hmm.
and when it didn't,
Yeah.
her followers' belief in her actually got stronger.
It's wild.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. It's a classic example of cognitive dissonance at work. We humans, we invest so much in our beliefs, our time, our effort, our emotion.
Yeah.
And so when those beliefs are challenged, it can feel like a real threat to our sense of self.
Right.
Our egos get involved, and
Yeah.
suddenly we're more concerned with protecting ourselves than we are with actually learning and growing.
Right. So how does this play out in our everyday lives?
Mm-hmm.
And how does this cognitive dissonance thing prevent us from learning from our mistakes?
Well, think about a time when you made a mistake, maybe at work or in a relationship.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't it hard to admit that you were wrong?
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you'd already kind of justified your actions in your own mind.
Totally.
That defensiveness, that's cognitive dissonance at work.
Oh, wow.
Instead of analyzing what went wrong, we kind of twist the narrative to protect our egos.
Yeah.
And that can be a major obstacle to personal growth.
Look, have you ever experienced this? Was it hard to admit you were wrong?
Oh, yeah.
Even to yourself?
All the time. I think it's just human nature. But I think becoming aware of it is a huge first step.
It is.
And the challenge then is to be more open to feedback, even when it's tough to hear.
Yeah.
Because on the other side of that discomfort
Right.
lies some serious growth potential.
For sure.
Yeah, and we'll dig into that a little bit later.
Yeah. So, admitting we're wrong can feel like such a setback sometimes.
Yeah.
But what if I told you that those tiny failures are actually the key to massive success?
Okay, I like where this is going.
It's this concept of marginal gains. And it's amazing.
It's so powerful.
It is. And he illustrates this in the book by talking about Team Sky,
Yeah.
which was this British cycling team that just dominated the Tour de France. And their secret weapon was marginal gains.
They crushed it.
For a decade.
Yeah, they were amazing. And they had this incredibly complex goal, right? Winning the Tour de France.
Yeah.
And they broke it down into the smallest pieces imaginable. It's fascinating how they approached it.
I know. I was reading about this stuff and I was like, what?
They looked at everything.
By now.
The rider's diet, sleep patterns, the aerodynamics of the bike, even the type of pillow they use.
I know, and they even redesigned the team bus to like optimize hygiene and recovery.
Right, like
Now,
who would think that the bus would matter?
it's crazy.
But it all adds up.
It does.
It is.
It's like those tiny little tweaks
Yeah.
that create this massive advantage.
It's like that saying, take care of the pennies and the pounds will take care of themselves.
Right.
But in this case, it's like take care of the millimeters and the kilometers will take care of themselves.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds great in theory,
Yeah.
but how does this actually work in real life?
Yeah,
Can you give us some examples?
absolutely. So Syed gives a bunch of really fascinating examples in the book.
Oh.
One that kind of surprised me was the impact of deworming pills
Deworming pills.
on school attendance in Africa.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive, right? But it turns out that getting rid of parasites in kids can significantly improve their cognitive function and their overall health.
Interesting.
And healthier kids are more likely to go to school regularly.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
So simple.
right.
And he also talks about how Google uses this like crazy rigorous testing
Oh, yeah.
to optimize every little thing on their website,
They're obsessed with data.
like the shade of blue for a button.
It's insane.
And those tiny tweaks can result in millions of dollars of additional revenue.
It's crazy.
It is.
But it works.
Okay, so how do we regular folks apply this concept?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not elite athletes or tech giants.
That's a great question. So think about, like, what's a big, audacious goal that you're working towards?
Okay.
It could be anything: writing a book, starting a business, learning a new language, even just becoming more organized. And instead of getting overwhelmed by the enormity of the goal,
Right.
break it down into smaller, more manageable chunks. And then once you have those smaller steps, think about how you can make tiny improvements in each area.
Okay, so it's all about those little tweaks that add up over time.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, and another big goal that should be on everyone's list
Yeah.
is developing a growth mindset.
Okay, I've heard a lot about this growth mindset, but I'm still not totally sure I get it.
Yeah, it's a popular term, but what does it really mean?
Yeah.
So basically, it all starts with recognizing that our abilities aren't fixed. We're not born with a set limit on what we can achieve.
Okay.
Instead, we can continuously learn and grow through effort and experience.
So it's not about like being smart or talented. It's about embracing the process of learning.
Exactly. People with a growth mindset see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, while those with a fixed mindset tend to avoid challenges for fear of failure.
So it's like that difference between seeing a setback as a dead end
Yeah,
versus seeing it as like a detour.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy.
And speaking of setbacks, he tells this great story about James Dyson.
Oh, yeah, the vacuum cleaner guy.
He went through something like 5,000 prototypes before he finally got the bagless vacuum cleaner, right?
5,000. That's insane.
Can't even imagine.
That's persistence.
That's dedication.
It's a growth mindset in action.
It is.
He didn't see those 5,000 failures as a sign of defeat.
Right.
He saw them as valuable learning experiences.
Exactly. So how do we cultivate this growth mindset? I mean, it's easy to say embrace challenges.
It's easier said than done.
It is. So how do we actually do it?
So one of the most effective ways to develop a growth mindset is to become aware of your self-talk.
Okay.
So, like, what do you tell yourself when you make a mistake? Do you beat yourself up, or do you try to look for the lesson?
Oh, I am so guilty of negative self-talk.
And we all do it.
Yeah, but we've got to learn to, like, challenge those negative thoughts.
Exactly. So instead of saying, like, ugh, I'm so stupid, I messed up again, try saying, okay, I made a mistake. What can I learn from this so I don't repeat it?
Yeah, it's about shifting our focus from self-criticism to self-improvement.
Exactly. And remember, developing a growth mindset is a journey.
Yeah.
It's not a destination.
It's not like we just arrive.
No, there are going to be times when you fall back into old patterns of thinking.
Right.
But the important thing is to keep practicing, keep challenging yourself, and keep believing in your ability to grow.
I love that. Man, this has been a really great deep dive.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Like just total mind shift
I know, right?
about how we think about mistakes and failure.
Absolutely. And, it really highlights that learning from mistakes, it's not something that just happens automatically.
Right.
It's a skill. It's something we can all get better at with practice.
So before we wrap up, let's recap some of the big takeaways from Black Box Thinking.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, we started by talking about, like, this whole idea of black box thinking and how the aviation industry, they are just so good at learning from every failure.
Right. Their commitment to safety is incredible.
And then we talked about cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, how our brains can sometimes work against us,
I know.
making us cling to beliefs even when they're not true.
Yeah, we all have those moments.
All the time.
It's like our ego just takes over.
It's self-preservation.
But we also talk about some really good strategies for overcoming that bias.
Yeah, for using those mistakes as fuel for growth.
Like marginal gains.
Oh, yeah. Marginal gains is such a game changer.
It is. It's such a simple concept.
Right.
Break those big goals down into smaller steps and then make little tiny improvements along the way.
It's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about making progress.
And remember, those tiny little improvements can really snowball over time.
Yeah, we saw that with Team Sky and how they dominated cycling.
And even Google, obsessed with data.
Optimizing everything.
Every little detail.
Down to the color of a button.
Yeah. And of course, we can't forget about the growth mindset.
So important.
Embracing challenges. Seeing setbacks as opportunities to learn.
Right. And believing in our ability to grow.
Those are the things that really set people apart.
Yeah. And the good news is, we can all develop that growth mindset.
We can?
It starts with paying attention to that self-talk.
Yeah.
Catching yourself when that inner critic starts to get too loud.
So to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a little challenge.
Okay, I like it.
What's one small step you can take today to embrace this whole black box thinking approach in your own life?
That's a good one.
Maybe it's finally dissecting a mistake that you've been avoiding.
Yeah.
Or setting a small, achievable goal and breaking it down into those little marginal gains.
It could even be something as simple as, paying closer attention to your self-talk.
Exactly. And just remember, every mistake is an opportunity for growth.
That's the key takeaway.
It is a chance to become a little bit wiser, a little bit stronger.
Love it.
If you want to learn more about this, definitely check out Black Box Thinking by Matthew Syed.
Such a good book.
It's so. Thanks for joining us. Everyone, keep learning, keep growing, and don't be afraid to make those beautiful mistakes along the way.